Hello and welcome to yet another completely unprofessional unboxing. Scott here, and we are back with a much delayed video. I know it's been a while since I've put a couple videos out, probably well over a month, but it's the end of the school year for my kids, and likewise my wife, who is a school teacher, so they have been very busy, and likewise I have been also in supporting them, helping out with certain things they need, making sure they study for their finals and pass their classes. And my wife and I also took a little time away to spend some time down in San Diego. We are back, and I finally had a moment to sit down in the Orcus studios and make a recording of an unboxing I've been meaning to do for some time now. Now, of course, you know what it is by the thumbnail, but without further ado, why don't we go ahead and take a look what's inside and see what makes this a highly anticipated and long-awaited addition to mine and other people's library. But first, I would like to thank everyone, briefly, for bringing my channel to well over 1,000 subscribers. Kind of came as a surprise. Didn't realize it happened until a friend told me. But would like to thank every one of you for bringing me up to over 1,000. And with that, I'll be doing a special video. For the first time ever, I will be doing an official review of Nightmare Over Ragged Hollow. And for those who are nitpicky about the reviews and feel like that something needs to be played, well, good news. I actually ran this entire campaign from completion, or to completion, from beginning to completion. There we go. That makes more sense. And so I will be giving my perspective, a bit of play reports from myself and my friends who joined in the game. And it comes from not just my own perspective, but from my players who were all new to an OSR style game and campaign. So with that, let's get back to what we're here for, to take a look at what's inside this box that I have before me. So I'm not going to mince about. You know what this is. So let's go ahead and take it, open it up, and take a look and see what is inside these pages. All right, let's see here. Can I get this open without sharing any personal information? Yes, I can probably. Jesus, not even taped. There we go. Whoops. And we'll lay this out here. So this is the Kickstarter for fulfillment for not Maze Rats, not Summer's End, but for the OSR stylings from one Ben Questing Beast Milton, and published by Jacob. I am a publisher. That is what my character would do. Hurst, and what sits here before you is a copy of Knave. Or if you're from someone else in the world, you might say Nave. Whatever. Anyways, here is Knave Second Edition. And it looks like that I backed the special cover, the limited edition cover. I completely forgot because it's been well over a year since the Kickstarter succeeded. And as you can see, it is a wonderful kind of textured cover, cloth textured cover. And I don't know if you can see it well in the light, but there is an embossed dungeon, which is kind of cool. A bit of a fake gold leaf lettering here, so pretty snazzy, pretty nice, you know, as special edition covers go. Questing Beast logo there on the back. Excuse me. But like with all special edition books, it's not really what matters on the outside, but what lies within. So let's take a look and see what Knave Second Edition has brought us. So as we open the inside cover, we see before us is a kind of standard for certain OSR and old school style games oh geez, I am drawing a blank here today. I guess I'm not fully on vacation, but not a cheat sheet, a reference page. Jesus Christ, it's been a while. It's been over a month. I need to get my sea legs taken care of and get back into training. Anyways, yes. So we have here with the inner cover, we've got a reference sheet on both the front and I would assume the back. Yes, we do. Detailing the most common items you might need, a la a GM screen. If you're running this game, that way you do not need to flip through the pages to find it. Everything you need from information on the abilities within the game, how to conduct checks with your dice, combat, how inventory is handled, damage, spellcasting, additional relic magic, equipment, and so on. Oh, geez. It's dry here, so I apologize if I sound wheezy, congested, and just generally dealing with allergies. So, Knave Second Edition, written by Ben Milton, art by Peter Mullen, maps by Kyle Latino. I assume that's how it's pronounced. Logo design by Tim Hastings and editing by Julia Milton and Jacob Hurst. And we have a beautiful starting piece here by Peter Mullen. We've got a couple adventures. Looks like they're making their way into the woods, possibly completely unaware that hiding within the rocks and the grass line and behind trees are nasty little goblins or other monsters ready to take them by surprise. So give you a general idea of how this game is going to go. So what do we have here? We have the contents of the book. Well, not to be nitpicky, but one of the first things that I'm seeing here is obviously this book is not something that's going to fold open very easily without a bit of training. So, even better that the information is on, either side of the front or the back cover inlet. Because, wow, these pages are not going to stay open, but no big deal. Not a deal breaker. Anyways, the contents, we have an introduction, tables, game master duties, player duties, interesting, ability scores, PC creation, item slots and wounds, leveling up, checks, traveling, weather, delving, encounters, combat, hazards, spell casting, spells, generating new spells, relic magic, alchemy, equipment, buildings and warfare, downtime, recruiting, monsters, the bestiary, an example of gameplay, some designer's commentary, the character sheet, and a sample dungeon map and sample hex map. So, interesting. I'm really curious about what those player and GM duties are. Very nice to have those within role-playing games, because some of the expectations of not only the GM and also the players maybe a bit twisted and convoluted. And it's nice to have somebody probably clarify how those should be, even if it's just for this specific game. So we have here, again. Okay, so we have the introduction. Oh boy, maybe I should have took some allergy meds before doing this, but then I would probably be asleep. Yeah, I'm old. Anyhow, introduction. We have Nave is an old school fantasy role-playing game in the tradition begun by David Wesley, Dave Arneson, and E. Gary Gygax in games such as Bronstein, Blackmore, and Dungeons & Dragons. As part of that design tradition, it is broadly compatible with the monsters, items, and adventures created by thousands of hobbyists over the last 50 years. Like its predecessors, Knave's gameplay is fundamentally open-ended. Its goal is to help groups create a believable other world that players can explore and interact with through their characters, limited only by the world's internal logic and the game master's rulings. Anything may be attempted. Survival is not guaranteed. And then he goes on to talk about something on my hand here. Oh boy, yeah. Maybe I should follow Bud's lead and wash my hands when I do these things. What do you think? Anyhow, tables. Other prominent features of this book is its many random tables. These tables take nearly every aspect of fantasy fiction and break each of them into 100 examples, creating kind of elements of fantasy that GMs can use to rapidly construct living varied worlds to explore. The table's primary use is for session prep, but they can also be used on the fly when the PCs wander off in an unexpected direction. Results can be selected at random by rolling a D100, and the GM can simply pick items they like. So yeah, I for those of you who follow this channel know that I am a big fan of random tables in any RPGs. I think they're a wonderful, helpful tool for those who may need a little bit of assistance or just need something on the fly, when those gears aren't turning as fast as they should. So obviously I love all random tables of all sorts, but what makes them good or not is not their randomness, but the quality of of what it provides therein. So, all right. Okay. So we get to an interesting part. Game master duties and player duties. Interesting. So before I proceed, I would just like to follow up for those of you who are new to this channel that that what I am doing here is what I like to call a first impression. Not unlike if you had picked up this book at a friendly local game store, bookstore, or whatever the case may be, and I'm going with it with you for the first time, just as I would, and kind of take a look here in what lies within to see if this game might be worthwhile playing. And also if it might be something that you yourself might be interested in picking up. But this is not an actual review. This is strictly first impressions. I am looking at this for the first time also. So, continuing on. Game Master duties. So, currently in the hobby, there's a lot of responsibilities that have been thrusted upon the Game Master over the past few years. Some good, some for the good, some a bit unnecessary, and some I completely disagree with. But for the most part, it's good advice for how you should handle yourself at the table with a group of either people you know or completely random strangers. But one of the things that I feel that is lacking is what most people would consider to be player duties. What is your responsibility as a player? You aren't there, you haven't purchased a ticket to a movie, and the GM's job is not to dance like a monkey dance to entertain you. If you truly believe that playing a role-playing game is a collaborative affair, you should conduct yourself accordingly also as a player, and not necessarily only concern yourself with the with yourself as a player and the agency of your player character. You are so much more than that. So let's take a look what he has here. For GMs, we have create locations to explore, flesh out the supporting cast, let the players guide the action. Okay, good. And of course, he has little bits of detailed snippets in here regarding that. Use common sense, keep the game moving, make impartial and consistent rulings, immerse the players, reveal the world, signpost danger. That's an important one. Reward smart plans, keep time records. Again, very important, and I would feel in all role-playing games. But Jesus, excuse me, I am all sorts of all over the place. But more so in a lot of old school games that put a higher regard into record keeping, not just the general passage of time for the characters, but more so things like a detailed calendar and other aspects that involve certain things within your inventory. And I believe, that as far as the Knave First Edition is concerned, had different methods for doing that, and without necessarily making it a mathematical drag that kind of turns off many people. So, and then finally, edit the rules. The rules are your servant, not your master. If a rule isn't working the way your group likes, talk to them about it and tailor things to fit. Very good. Oh God, I am all Primatine mist right now, so we'll make it through. I promise not to sound like I'm wheezing in the mic. So anyhow, carrying on. Player duties, though. Assist the game master. What does he mean by that? Show up on time, bring snacks, learn the rules, keep session notes, draw maps, and be ready for your turn. At the end of a session, tell the GM your plans so you know what locations and situations to prepare. Yes, I can't agree more. Some of those are more important than others. It's always nice to have snacks provided, but not always necessary. But things like, learn the rules, keep session notes, draw maps specifically to this style of game, of course, be ready for your turn, be in the moment, and also, be as consistent as you expect your GM to be. Create a character. Okay. Work with the group to make sure your PC meshes with the campaign setting time. Okay, so essentially, not necessarily create your character, but make your character, a viable player character within the game itself. Make it more than just numbers on a sheet of paper. Play your character. Okay, so I think that kind of rolls more into that too. You can describe your actions in the first or third person. You can put up a voice or not. It's up to you, but cooperate with other players and avoid creating conflicts within the party unless the other players agree to it. Yes, very good. Yeah, be aware. Be aware of those who are playing with you and, and how they conduct themselves with the game, and don't expect them to role play or play their characters exactly like you do. Not everyone is a master of improv. Not everyone can, emulate voices to a certain degree, and not everyone feels comfortable, carrying on that way. They will do their best, and you should expect nothing more. So, take initiative, set your own goals, and make your own fun. Seek out adventure rather than waiting for it to come to you. That is a good one. As a GM, you should be prepared for that. So that kind of, take initiative, but also as a GM, be aware that they are ones who take the initiative. And again, that's how random tables can help you out in a pinch. All right. Ask questions. Information is the lifeblood of the game, so never be afraid to ask the GM for more details if something is unclear. Yes, please. If the things don't make sense about the game or within the game, as stated here, search for clues, visit libraries, interrogate PCs, consult sages. Yes, don't just sit around and wait for the GM to drop you information about the MacGuffin to keep the balls rolling. Be proactive, as they say. Apply tactical infinity. Okay, what does that mean? Treat the game world as if it is real and work to turn every aspect of it to your advantage. When simulating living world, no detail is simply flavor. Okay, that's a good one. I mean, I don't disagree with it. I don't know if we're kind of stacking things here. That should be not necessarily how everything should be played out during every session, but something to be aware of. And if you find certain things lacking, your focus should be brought to it. So, scheme. Think laterally, not linearly. Avoid risky plans that require you to roll dice and instead create plans so bulletproof that success is certain. Yeah. At least within the OSR, but this is good advice for any game. But, OSR is, your player character is more than just numbers on a sheet. You don't really have an abundance of skills to rely on to dictate or give you an idea of how you are going to succeed if you roll. But therefore, you should be creative, and if your GM is aware of this, and I should, probably say a decent GM, he will reward you, accordingly. Jesus, excuse me. Reward you accordingly. I'm going to call this one the burp episode. Reward you accordingly for these fine ideas rather than make you roll dice all the time. And then prepare to die. Yes, embrace your PC's death when it happens and roll up a new character to take their place. Losing a PC can be painful, but also makes for great stories, lets you try out new character concepts, and can thrust the party into unexpected situations. Yes, that is a very old school point of view, but one that, that should be applied in any. I mean, unless you're playing in a game where no one gets hurt, death is always a possibility, and you should conduct yourself as if that might actually happen and not be shocked when it does, because if you weren't, treating your player character with that type of respect. Okay. So character creation. So it does have the standard 6 ability scores that you would find in most Dungeons and Dragons and OSR style games: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. But it looks like here you have 6 ability scores rated from 0 to 10 and to add 2 checks. So it looks like it kind of takes a bit of a lot of the popular style 4 ability scores that exist within the sphere of the Dungeons and Dragons popular 6. Not necessarily concerning yourself with the numerical value, but what sort of pluses or maybe minuses that it might provide you. This one says to distribute 3 points between your PC's ability scores. More than 1 point can be placed in the same score, or let fate decide by rolling 3d6 with each die adding 1 to the ability score, matching the number it rolled. So example, rolling 3, 5, 5 means con. The 3rd ability is a 1, and wisdom, the 5th ability, is a 2. All other abilities have a score of 0. Interesting. I mean, that's a way. That's a way. All right, so I mean, is it as random as rolling dice? I suppose it is, or rolling any other dice. PCs start at level 1 with 0 XP. They have 10 plus con item slots. Inventory is similar to how it's been done before. It's slotted inventory, so you only have, if you run out of slots, you no longer can carry anything. Record your careers, which is set here. An abundance to choose from acolyte to woodcutter. And it looks like they come with a variety of items associated with that particular career. Nave, I believe, is a classless, in the sense, as you know what I mean, game where you don't really pick something like a wizard, a fighter, a cleric or whatever. You have a career that you can that shows where you began from, but you essentially choose to focus on certain things within the game, so you can kind of be anything. Let's see, armor. PCs have armor points, AP, equal to the number of armor pieces, and an armor class equal to AP plus 11. Okay. And then finishing touches, name and describe, and so on. Okay. Item slots. Stated slots are 10 plus your constitution. If you get damaged within the game, you take damage. Damage a PC receives is subtracted from their hit points. Once their HP reaches 0, each point of damage fills an item slot with an appropriate wound: stab, frozen, burned, and so on, from the highest slot to the lowest. Items dropped in a wounded slot must be dropped. So, okay, so if you have slots, your hit points run out, you start losing item slots, and then you drop whatever you have. And it looks like essentially you die once you run out of slots, once your slots are filled with wounds, so to speak. And of course, you have something here called direct damage. Direct damage bypasses HP and adds wounds directly. Healing. PC hit points return to a maximum each morning as long as they slept for 2 watches and ate a meal the night before. If they are in a safe haven, they also heal 1 wound. So hit points essentially don't necessarily dictate wounds as they would traditionally. I would think that, hit points is essentially your, what's the best way to put it? Your endurance. And then once you run out of your endurance, then your body starts taking damage. And then you start losing your, what essentially would be your ability to hold itself up, dropping items. And once those are all gone, your body ceases to exist. So experience points are more of a buffer before you start taking actual wounds. And of course, we have some information here on experience points. PCs are awarded 1 XP for each coin, lowercase c, worth of treasure recovered from remote, dangerous locations. If you are using pre-made dungeon from another RPG that uses copper, silver, electrum, blah, 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 then convert the total gold coins and gain that much XP. Okay, so gold to coin ratio if you're playing actual D&D modules. So looks like Everyone has the same leveling up system. You start at level 1, gaining XP until you finally reach level 10, and that will be 500,000 experience points total, with a total of approximately 10d6 hit points. When a creature attempts something risky, they make a check by rolling a d20. So checks are handled by the standard d20 and adding one of their ability scores. If their total meets or exceeds the target number set by the GM, they succeed. Fair enough. Setting the target number, start with 11, and then add a difficulty rating from 0 to 10, and 5 by default. If the check is against another creature, the difficulty rating is equal to their relevant ability score or level. In an attack, the difficulty is the defender's armor points. The target number of 11 plus AP is called armor class. Okay. Oh my God, excuse me. No, I'm not editing these out. I hate editing video. It is possible to have players do all the rolling by reversing checks that the GM usually makes. Okay. Modifiers. GM can apply a -5 penalty for each disadvantage and +5 points for each advantage. Social checks. Okay. In most cases, the outcome of social interactions can be resolved with common sense. I like that. But in a risky situation, the GM may call for a check. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, not everyone, is good at role playing. They're not going to feel comfortable playing out a, conversation, trying to con the city guard out of arresting them or whatever the case may be. But, at least if they can give you a general description of how it plays out, you can say, well, yeah, that sounds like it might work. But if it feels risky, you can make the check. You don't. Charisma is not, it seems like, within this game, nor it should be with any game, a superpower that is equal to charm person or command or any of those spells. Okay, so lore checks. Checks are not necessary for a PC to recall lore. Okay, PCs automatically know all common knowledge and any specialized knowledge covered by their careers. Fair enough. I mean, you live in an area with a variety of people, you're going to come across generalized information. And also, if you're like a butcher, you're going to have extensive knowledge about that particular career. Any other knowledge must be discovered in game. Again, I like that. It's a wide world. Sure, you can always plead for a case. I'm a scholar. I should know information outside of this. But that's always a discussion for you and the GM to be hashed out when it's necessary. But for the most part, you know nothing. Jon Snow, right? I've seen that movie, Game of Fire and Ice and Thrones, whatever. Search checks. Hidden things are either automatically discovered after enough time is spent searching. Okay. Usually 10 minutes for dungeon rooms. That's standard, or they cannot be found without talking in-game actions. Obvious features of an area should be described right away. Okay. Again, fair enough. I mean, yeah, if you say, hey, I searched the room, yeah, that includes the closet, the drawers, under the bed, but beneath the pillows. I mean, come on, nothing sucks more than failing a search roll for something that is clearly, not hidden in a secret door. And you've come to find out, oh, it was under the bed the whole time. You're like, why wouldn't I have looked under the bed? Give me a break. All right, so when we go on dealing with aspects of traveling, dealing with watches, traveling speed, navigation, exploring, secret features, foraging, survival, and all of that. This is, again, this is a OSR style game, so you're going to be dealing with hex crawls. So there's information that allows you to conduct those. Likewise, when you're out in the open, you're going to be dealing with a variety of weather that's going to have, primarily negative, but sometimes positive effects on you if necessary. Delving within the dungeon, we have the same thing. How to conduct your dungeon crawls, along with dungeon hazards and whatnot, and certain aspects that are important to the dungeon, like crawling speed, darkness, torches, lanterns, candles, and so on. Beautiful dungeoneering picture or artwork here by Peter Mullen. Obviously, a troll lies in wait in the dark, ready to pounce on these these particular adventurers holding a torch, and probably there's not enough light from that torch that allows them to see far enough to know that a troll lies in wait, as does a nasty little spider. But maybe all the bones might say something. So yes, important. Describe your surroundings. You know, your adventurers should not discover that there's a pile of bones right before them after they encounter the troll. More random tables to help you with that. Encounters. Yeah, again, just take a moment. Another wonderful Mullen art piece here, and there's a lot of those within here. They are always a delight to see within, you know, this book and then any other books that he does illustrations for. Dealing with encounters and how to conduct them, from things from surprise and reactions, along with a little bit of extra detail such as NPC reaction, activities they might be doing. Combat. Let's see here. Combat is conducted in its own special way, I believe. Initiative. Combat is measured in 10-second rounds during which each side has an opportunity to act. Decide which side acts first by making a charisma versus charisma check between the side's leaders. Interesting. So initiative in this game is determined how much the coach is yelling at you to get off your ass. I mean, I'm not saying it's not realistic and it doesn't work. It's just an interesting method. I don't know if it's done for a particular reason or just to be different. You know, it's interesting nonetheless. But I know several people are going to ask, why charisma? Why charisma? So maybe he'll say something in those developer notes. Who knows? Okay, attacks. An attack is a check using the attacker's strength for melee attacks or wisdom for ranged, trying to hit defender's armor class. Armor points plus 11. Again, wisdom for ranged? Hold on a sec. Hey, Noah. Could you think of any reason why a game would use wisdom for ranged attacks instead of dexterity or agility or something like that? Because wisdom is tied to perception. You know, maybe he should be running this channel. I feel like a hack. Thank you for making me look stupid. So, well, there you go. You know, that's the game designer over there. I'm just the guy who buys them and plays them. So, and you know, round of applause for my son. Anyways, so on a hit, the attacker deals damage to the target. If the attack rolls total is 21 or higher, the attacker may choose to also succeed at a free maneuver of their choice. If an unmodified one is rolled, the weapon breaks. Okay. So maneuvers, pushing, stunning, blinding, and so on, ranged attacks, sneak attacks, powerful attacks, damage modifiers, and morale tests, all are which standard aspects of OSR game, and has its own special Nave style of handling those. Hazards, fire, drownings, freezing, lightning, falling, thirst, sleep deprivation, and intoxication. Okay, so how does Nave handle spellcasting? As you know, as stated earlier, this is a classless system. So yeah, I mean, you could be wielding magic or swords or bows, arrows, crossbows, whatever the case may be. I believe. I hope I'm not overstepping my interpretation of things here. But so spells, casting spells. Casting a spell takes one action. Each spellbook can only be used once per day. Oh, interesting. Okay, spellbook takes up an item slot and contains a single spell. Okay. So, some people are going to scream foul. You know, a lot of people like to collect, you know, spells for their spellcaster as, as if it was toilet paper during lockdown. And I don't blame them. Spells are interesting. Spells are fun. And obviously you want a good repertoire of spells, but it does kind of make sense. I mean, the idea that, this particular, how should I put it, set of arcane, arcane words wrought from a language unknown, tied to mystical aspects in the universe that is essentially breaking reality and manipulating it and twisting it towards your own intent through arcane gestures, words, sounds, and sometimes mathematical equations beyond the comprehension of man. Would probably take up a whole book. so I'm not anti this. It does what I like. What I like about Magic and mind games is it's rare, it's dangerous, it's mysterious, and should be somewhat difficult to hold and yield. So an entire spell, within a book like this. So 1 slot. Casting a spell takes 1 action. Each spell can only be used once per day, but PCs can use a number of spell books per day equal to their intelligence. So if you choose to be a spellcaster, you would probably want to take up your inventory slot with as many spell books as you have, but keeping them safe. If something happens to that, you don't have access to the spell anymore. 100 spells are included on page 22 to 25. When intelligence appears in the description, replace it with any number up to the caster's intelligence. Okay, fair enough. And then there's something called Chaos Spellbooks. These spellbooks replace a spell with a random new one at the first dawn after the previous spell was cast. Fun. Saves. When a spell targets an unwilling creature with a level higher than the spell, they may take a check versus the spell's level. Okay, so if they're lower than the spell automatically succeeds. Okay. On a success, the spell's effect is halved. If they succeed by 10 or plus, the effect is nullified. Cool. Oh, boy. Excuse me. All right, so, and we have a list of spells. A lot of these, just glancing over them, seem to be, some of them seem standard fare. Others seem interesting. Like here's one here called Marble Madness. Yeah, I think Ben's about my age, so, what do you think of when you think of Marble Madness? You think of the arcade game. Your pockets refill with marbles every round for intelligence rounds. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where, you need to do what the game says you should do in here. The spell is not going to provide you with tons of information or how to use it. Yes, it's going to fill your pocket with marbles. Great. What do I do with that? Whatever you want. I mean, a situation will arise where a pocket full of marbles that refill every round would be useful, and other things. But there's your standard here, like detect magic, animate, animal friendship, and so on. So a little bit of information, but what it does is it allows you to personalize the spell. What does it look like when you cast it? What do you, what are the words that you're saying? How does your spellcaster react to its casting? It definitely creates an opportunity to make each spell your own and different from other spellcasters within the game. And then a few pages on how to create new spells for the game, providing qualities, effects, elements, and so on. More random tables, which is great. Relic magic. Relic magic. Patrons are powerful magical beings. Okay, so relic magic deals with patrons who grant some of their power to PCs through the use of relics. They might be petty gods, saints, nature spirits, and so on. They should be treated as NPCs. Each patron has 1 or 2 domains, yada, yada, yada. Relics are magical items that are bound to the service of a particular patron, usually found in dungeons or shrines. A relic might be a symbol of the patron, a weapon, an article of clothing, or anything else. Use the item tables for inspiration. A PC's item can also be converted into a relic if the patron wishes it. Okay. So, I mean, kind of a mixture of what most people would consider to be either a warlock or, a divine caster, where, if you're a cleric, you can't cast your clerical spells unless you have a holy symbol. But these aren't the same. These are limited to whatever it provides. And then shrines are religious sites dedicated to particular patrons, or they're freely to commune with, Blessings. Once a PC finds a relic and communicates with its patron at one of the shrines, the patron will give the PCs a mission. If the PC completes the mission and returns to the shrine, the patron will imbue the relic with an ongoing blessing related to their domain. It should be something small but useful, such as an aura or minor spell that can be cast multiple times per day. It should be designed in collaboration with the player. Tables for magic, potions, and powers can be helpful, so on and so forth. Number of blessings active at one time equal to their charisma. And then, of course, favor and disfavor. Never want to go into disfavor with your patron or deity. We have a bit of information here on alchemy, brewing potions and whatnot. More wonderful random tables. Dealing with equipment and their prices. A variety of tools here. Again, not descriptions, just names. So there's things like smoke goggles. And it's not just for flavor. These things can definitely come in handy and be useful for more than what they're generally designed for. Again, think outside the box when you're playing an RPG. All right, so okay, buildings, running a business. Oh, interesting. Okay, so buying buildings, running a business. So ways to maximize, to garner profit during downtime or while you're out adventuring. You don't always come back with the treasure you set out to get. Let's see here. Other investments generally bring in D10% of their costs each year in profit, assuming everything goes as planned. So, conducting warfare. If you want to work out the results of a battle by playing it with the normal combat rules, it would take you long. Use the following procedure. So a succinct procedure here for conducting large-scale warfare. Without busting out the skirmish miniatures and playing a 3-day miniature battle game to handle large-scale combat. Let's see. Each of the following units are 100 coins per month and has an equal amount of fighting power. Use them as a guideline when determining the cost and strength of units. Tally fighting powers. Sum the fighting power of each side's units at the GM's discretion. Improve or reduce a side's fighting power by up to 50% based on its morale and position. Each side's leader may also make a charisma check to try and improve their side's power by 50%, making a stirring speech, so on and so forth. Establish bonuses. Battle checks. The stronger side makes 3 checks using the above bonus, aiming to get 11 or better. Each success allows the stronger side to secretly pick one result from the list below. The side that picks the most results, no matter how they are resolved, is the battle's winner. The other side must withdraw from the battle. So yeah, interesting way to have large scale combat, but just essentially the Hollywood version of it, so you can get back to your game and delving within dungeons and doing hex crawls and adventuring. Downtime, another relatively important aspect of a lot of old school games. Carousing is definitely something here. You see here, you spend a bit of coin. It will give you some PC, and then you must succeed at a con roll or roll a mishap. So did you get drunk last night and do some stupid shit? Roll a d20. Other aspects are gambling during downtime and career training. Okay, again, another aspect that is generally associated with old school games and Dungeons and Dragons, recruiting hirelings, mercenaries, experts, and companions. Standard archetypes here and random tables, along with names, surnames, details, professions, goals, mannerisms, and so on to bring them to life. And then we have monsters. Looks like there's 100 monsters here from aboleth to zombie, with ways of determining their stats. And then we have the Bestiary, which again just gives you a little bit of color and a base on how their abilities work, if they have any, along with stats, hit points, and whatnot. And from there, you can conduct them however way you see fit. And then some other ways to add some additional traits to them, organs, animals, powers, and so on for making your own monsters. And we have a tad of some gameplay example here. Nice and short. Not I shouldn't say I'm not a big fan of a gameplay example. I do like it when it's associated with certain rules within a core rule book, especially if the core rule book is extra chunky, extra crunchy, and just to help you to figure out the rules you're reading in case you're scratching your head a bit. Having a full example here like this of an actual session or few rounds is nice, but it's not going to really touch on a lot because, that would take up a whole book, so to speak. Could something more interesting be utilized within these couple pages? Probably, but like I said, I've seen some that would be like a chapter from an anthology of short stories. My God. You don't need to go through someone's entire 4-hour session as an example of gameplay. So 2 pages isn't bad. All right, designer's commentary. So, boy, Jesus Christ. I hope the mic isn't picking this up. What did I eat before I do this? Or before I did this? All right, so goals. I'm not going to read these all, but so essentially the goals of Nave began as a hack of basic D&D that I created for an after-school gaming club for 5th graders. Excellent. The goal was to streamline and rationalize the rules so the players would learn the rules and create characters in just a few minutes and jump right into playing. The game has expanded since then, but the goal is still at the forefront of design. A framework that makes playing old-school RPGs straightforward, intuitive, easy to prep, and easy to run. His inspirations for this are World of Dungeons by John Harper, Into the Odd by Chris McDowell, and The Black Hole by David Black. All right, and he goes on to talk about random tables, aspects of layout, game master and player duties, abilities, scores, classlessness. So that's, classlessness rather than classless. Careers, wound and item slots. Does he talk about initiative? Okay, combat. All right, combat in Nave depletes a PC's gear, whether each HP ammo, blah, blah, blah. Hard mode, yada, yada. Nave, in order to make it easier to apply, PCs want to focus on combat. High rolls get automatic maneuvers, encounters, da, da, da. Well, I'm just going to go with my son's definition, for charisma in regards to dealing with missile attacks and also initiative. Divine magic, alchemy, money and gear, coins, buildings, warfare, saving throws, and so on. Okay, fair enough. And then we have a nice, neat, tight, you can land a F-14 on this aircraft carrier of a player character sheet. And then we have a wonderful design for an isometric dungeon here by Kyle Latino. Absolutely wonderful. Little snippets here to give you a general idea of what's in these rooms, but not overbearing enough to make you not make it your own. I mean, obviously, this pig right here is a pig of wondrous power, and obviously the big bad guy at the end. He's just there to fool you. And then what do we have here? We have a nice hex map by Cal Latino. Wonderful design. Again, the hexes are filled with a variety of things, some named, some unnamed, that you can make your own. And is it? Okay. Kyle Latino, he's not the one who did the map for Hot Springs Island, which I have hanging on my wall. No, that was by, let's say, Jason Bradley Thompson or Justin Bradley Thompson. I can't read it. The light's not on it. But no, different artists. But still, both wonderful evocative maps equally. And then we got more of the reference sheet here in the back. And that's Nave. Second edition. So not being well versed in the first edition, but having it in his page through it some time ago. This is definitely I wouldn't say an improvement, but there's definitely more information here that fleshes it out further than Nave. Whether it's an improvement or not, I couldn't tell you. I'd have to play the original edition, compare it to the second edition, and play the second edition. It also came with a couple books here. Summer's End and Other One-Page Adventures by Ben Milton, cover by D.C. Stowe. And then here you go. So, again, little places to fill your hex map if you want. and locations therein. Looks like we have a few dungeons and a few hex map locations, which is great. Several of them, so fantastic. You can, you know, have this game, have this. You could be playing for a good amount of time with you and your characters. And a copy of Maze Rats. I don't remember if Nave came first or Maze Rats. I think Maze Rats it's originally a like 2 or 3 page printable game. Again, it's been several years, but I think it's what Nave is built upon. But looks like this also has been fleshed out a tad, and you know, that can be utilized for, I guess, an even more simplified version of running a fantasy RPG. But again, I will take a look at that in more detail my own time. But beautiful cover by DC Stowe, both Maze Rats and Summer's End. Wonderful. And there you go. That is everything. That is the Knave Second Edition Kickstarter fulfillment. So now, you know, look, if I had seen this game at a friendly local game store, page through it, without question, I think I would pick this up. I don't know what the price would be. That would definitely be an indication. Obviously, this is the collector edition cover, so this one's going to be more expensive than the standard edition. I don't know what the standard edition cost would be, but it's definitely an interesting take on a fantasy role-playing game, especially with the current popularity of Shadowdark and how Shadowdark has, you know, I wouldn't say similar or you know, exactly the same, but has similar ways of handling things such as inventory. It's got its you know, little gimmicky aspect with torches and whatnot. But what it does here is, for those who are interested in playing you know, an OSR style game, but doesn't really want to go back and read, you know, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or pick up the Rules Cyclopedia, or, you know, grab, you know, both books from Hyperborea, all of which are fantastic, all of which I've played and I've read. I have nothing against them, but you know, just like any role-playing game, they're not for everybody. But a lot of times, though, the genre is. So people who are looking to play an OSR style game, but don't want to deal with a lot of the additional crunch or baggage that they don't enjoy themselves, this would definitely be the game for them, or one of the games. So I am glad that I backed this, and you know, this would definitely be something that I would love to sit down and spend some time playing with my son and his friends. Although I do believe that you know, in their current age bracket, they're teenagers, I do feel that they have a predilection for a lot of more crunchier games right now, although I believe Mork Borg is still their favorite. So, you know, this definitely gives off a Mork Borginess vibe. But there you have it. Knave Second Edition, everyone. I would definitely say, if you're interested in playing an OSR style game but don't want to deal with the crunch, check it out. And then maybe if I get to play it, I will give a review after my second official review that I'm doing for my 1,000 subscriber special of you know, Nightmare Over Ragged Hollow. Maybe I'll do one of Knave. I mean, it shouldn't be too hard to play a few sessions of Knave and get an idea of is this a game I would enjoy playing further. So, thank you all. I appreciate your time with this video. Sorry about the allergies and whatnot acting up. That's just, you know, this is not a scripted video, as for those for the 1,000 of you who subscribe know that by now. Jesus, there we go. Couldn't even end without doing one more. But one more time, thank you, and look forward for new videos. I'm hoping to be able to sit down with my wife finally, now that she has time to do the summer. But I think this time we're going to do something different. She was going to do an art critique on old school artwork compared with new. But I think the other thing that she might want to do is with the focus on Dungeons and Dragons covers, and her being an art teacher, I think it might be interesting to have her do kind of like a tier list and go through the different covers from each edition, give a bit of critique, and create a tier list of what she thinks is her favorites. I think that'd be cool. So also, you get a moment, check out Tutor Pigs, the tabletop role-playing game podcast with my friend Keith from Rolling Boxcars. Hopefully we'll be getting another episode soon. And then look for us in Gen Con in just over a month, as we will be returning and, spending some time, hopefully doing some interviews, visiting some panels, and doing some other ridiculous nonsense with our friends from the UK and my son. So I think that's enough of a ramble. We're at almost an hour on a less than 70-page book. And we will catch you all next time. Take care.